So we're back at MPE. It's day 2. It's another busy day in Berlin, and I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by Pamela Burt. She is the Sales Director of Strategic Accounts at Mangopay. Nice to see you, Pamela.
Hi, nice to meet you. It's lovely to be here today.
Great. We're going to kick off with our usual sort of questions, but I wanted to start off with one about the platform economy. I know it's a big part of what you guys do. So where do you see the platform economy heading?
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of evolution within the platform economy. So one of the bigger trends that we are now seeing is a move towards monetization. So in the past, the biggest KPI, let's say, for a platform was always user growth, user growth, user growth. That is now changing, evolving into financial control. Today, along the value chain, there's a ton of margin that is currently being paid out to third-party providers. How do we bring that in-house? How do platforms now, how are they able to monetize all these different levers to gain control over the platform and the value chain? So that's the biggest trend that we're seeing from a platform perspective, let's say.
Okay, and keeping on that kind of theme, what should the industry better understand about multi-party payment infrastructure?
One of the key things that I would say is when people think about multi-sided platforms and ecosystem, they're thinking, oh, we need to capture the funds from the buyer and then pay out to the seller. They're missing out on the complexity that comes with holding the funds under certain conditions, splitting funds amongst multiple providers. There's this whole compliance side to things. At times, what people tend to miss out on are 3 things. Number one, the fact that most companies are now international. They are spread across different hubs. There's a massive reconciliation issue, even between funds, even them being merchant of record, right? So how can we service that with this whole ledgering layer by orchestrating funds into different wallets and entities? Point number 2, reconciliation on bank wires, right? Today, everyone thinks bank wire, it's easy to do, it's very cheap. And then you have a team of 100 people manually reconciling things in the background, right? How can we fix that? And then the other thing that it's not usually how we start the conversation, but something that always comes up is, the compliance side of things. There's a lot more scrutiny. The way that we've been doing things no longer apply. How can we get support? How can we partner with the infrastructure in order to be able to offload that compliance side of things, right? Being able to manage multi-parties in a compliant way is one of the hardest things.
Okay, thank you very much for that. What kind of other business trends are you seeing then, that fit in with that business model of yours?
Yeah, one of the bigger business trends that we are seeing is how everyone is moving in the direction of becoming a fintech. And I don't only mean financial services platforms, but also companies, or let's say an Uber, an Amazon, a travel OTA, a retail business. They are now getting the licenses. They now want to resell, some of these payments. So they're now looking for embedded payment providers, et cetera. And that's also where we come in, not only to support from an infrastructure perspective, from the compliance and licensing perspective, but also by offering everything modular and white label, let's say, for them to then resell and monetize.
Just thinking about the future now, gazing a little bit in your crystal ball, do you think that there's any area of the payments industry where the opportunities are being missed?
I do think we have a lot of heads thinking through all these problem spaces right now. So I wouldn't say there's an opportunity that's being missed, but there are definitely areas that keep coming up when you go to conferences. One of these areas, for example, is loyalty. Keeps coming up. And there's many ways to think about this, because I believe in the past it was always about rewards, store credit. It felt more like a marketing function, when in reality, there's a lot we can do to build on that based on financial, let's say, capabilities. So one of the key things that we offer is virtual accounts, multi-currency virtual accounts, or licensed wallets, where we're now incentivizing platforms to refund to wallet. And then how do we incentivize the value circularity where once the funds are in the customer's wallet, how can they respend in the ecosystem? And this works on both ways, right? From a buyer perspective, how can they respend? We tend to see between 15 and 40% respend, actually. So let's say 20% average. And from the buyer side, how can we incentivize buyers to respend in value-added services? How can you monetize that before they extract funds? So that I would say is a massive opportunity. The other thing that more and more platforms have been asking of us is virtual IBANs, so local rails, where they can also automate reconciliation. So those are the two things that keep coming up these days.
Fantastic. Pamela, thank you very much for joining us today.
Of course, happy to be here. Thank you.